Hello everyone, let's get started. On today's video I have a special guest. He's from Florida, Raf is his name. He has been making quite some interesting comments on some of my videos in the past, and I have asked him if he would like to do an interview with me and share some of his views with me. So welcome Raf, how are you doing?
How you doing, Michael? I'm doing great.
Good. How did you survive the hurricane?
Well, we are on the western coast of Florida, Naples, Fort Myers, so it didn't reach to us. It went north.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a close call.
But you had to do preparations anyway then.
We did preparations. Yeah, we didn't have much time, so it was a tight squeeze. But you know, it went north. So.
Lucky you. And I realize you're healthy again. That was another reason why we had a delay of the 2 or 3 weeks proposed interview we would be doing. You had a fever. Yeah. I'm hoping you're healthy again.
Yeah, after the hurricane preparation, that thing went north, and I noticed, it's like, wow, I wake up with 102-degree fever. And I said, oh no, I couldn't talk, I just slept.
Yeah, Fahrenheit, so, I assume, because in Celsius it would boil. Yeah. Okay, can you give us, I tell you whenever you don't want to answer a question, or basically you give the details you want, okay? So, or you tell me next question, whatever. Can you give us a little bit about your background, how you came to cryptocurrency, maybe some private stuff? Feel free to share whatever you want.
Okay, this is a funny story. I was introduced to the whole crypto, which was Bitcoin first, right? By my brother. Mm-hmm. And he was telling me about it. Because he was in it since day one.
Yeah.
Bitcoin was started on his daughter's birthday. So a month or two after that, maybe a couple of weeks, he started to do research on it, which was extremely limited. And it was called this internet money and this and that. And he was actually one of the first miners.
Yes. Of
Bitcoin. And that was, back then, it was so simple that you watched a 30-second advertisement and you got a Bitcoin. You played on a website, you played, for 2-3 minutes, you played a game and you got half a Bitcoin. And that's how easy it was back then. So he introduced me to it. He showed me everything and I turned him away. I said, no, I don't want to have anything to do with this. I said, this is not real. This is internet money. I said, what kind of money is it if I can't put it in my pocket? Yeah. And he really tried to explain it to me, but I just wouldn't have it. So my crypto introduction is thanks to my brother Peter. However, once I came around, Bitcoin was about $800-900.
Already, huh?
Yes, already. And I said, oh my God, what did I do? So he was laughing. He's like, I told you, didn't I tell you what happened? And I said, yes. So I started to do my own homework. Okay? And I stumbled onto Ripple.
XRP, huh?
XRP. And I tried to introduce XRP to my brother. And guess what? He wouldn't have it. He didn't want to hear it. He said, no, it's the banks. No. See, Bitcoin is against the banks. I said, Peter, you don't understand. He's like, no, you don't understand. Then I said, banks are not going anywhere. Banks are government compliant. They have to go by the rules. This is the company that works with the banks that works with the rules. And we had, it was like, a lot of screaming, a lot of this and this and this. But then he came around and he said, you're right. It is XRP, not Bitcoin. So he introduced me to Bitcoin, the very first one. And I introduced him to Ripple and XRP. and basically from that point on, it's only been, XRP.
So
Yeah.
when did he turn around, and when did you get into XRP?
I got into XRP before the big bull run.
Like
Was it 2017?
about 2 years ago.
Yes, in the fall I got into it, and that was also done on a recommendation of two other investors, because I did not feel so smart in this new category, in this new field. I had doubts, especially around the technical terms and how stuff works. And I was connected with two people, with two investors who are much bigger, much more advanced than I am, and they have guided me in the right direction. And thankfully I listened to them and their advice, and there's no turning back now.
No.
Yeah.
What was the, how do you call it in English, the tipping point for you? Was there any kind of revelation which told you, okay, this is it?
Basically, when I found out they were working with regulators and
Yes.
governments, and with the banks, with the institutions, that was it.
Okay.
Because it was also what we had at the same time was the huge ICO explosion.
Yes, Ethereum.
And yes, huge. I mean, it was, everything was, you give us Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Litecoin, and we're going to give you these tokens, ERC20 tokens, and these tokens. And none of them stated that we're working with the banks, we're working with regulators, that we are looking how not to break the law. And to me, that was like, well, okay, they know what they're doing. They're going by the book, and to me, that was like the assurance that I made the right choice. Yeah, but it was a crazy ride.
Yeah.
Until this point, it was really crazy.
Okay.
But this is just the beginning, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, people are talking. It's up like what, 15-16%.
Like
And
in the past
people are behaving like it's their first child being born. They're jumping and screaming at it, and I'm like yawning. I'm like, really? I mean, guys, come on. We're waiting for a lot more than this. Just relax. But it gives them something to celebrate.
What types of cryptos are you holding? Because the recording broke.
I'm holding XRP, and I got a little bit of XRP, and I got some more XRP.
So all in.
That's the only asset, Michael.
Yeah, all in, like me.
And you know what? And I tell you what, if I want, a couple of years from now, if I want to get Bitcoin or Ethereum, it doesn't matter at what price, I will not care, because XRP, I think, will be number one, beyond any shadow of the doubt, and you'll be able to afford it without feeling the pinch in your bank.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, okay, I'm gonna go get 5 Bitcoins, it's not like getting 5 Bitcoins now. It'll be much easier because of the difference in price.
Yeah.
So it's really, to me, I mean, it's one asset all the way, basically.
Same for me. Like whenever someone else is asking me about other coins, I usually tell them, give me one other coin with a good use case. I mean, smart contract blockchains, I can see the reason and the use case, but I really don't see why I should pay for a token. You can have a smart contract blockchain even without a token. Corda is showing it with Voltron and Marco Polo. It's not needed. So I really wonder why they all go crazy about Cardano, Ethereum, whatever else. I don't get it.
No, it's really not needed. And you made this case before with some other token. The industry should just eat it.
Yeah.
You know, if Nike shoes, I mean, they're selling for over $100. Okay, so they're going to ask 50 cents. They're going to add 50 cents to a pair of shoes because it has a genuine tag or something. You know, or it doesn't make sense from an investment point of view. Now the traders might get, let's say, right now they're going to day trade and buy low and sell high, you know, in a month or two. And I understand that point of view because I used to do a little bit of that. And to them, it's going to be a moneymaker. But as far as live off of it and retire, I don't think those tokens have any future.
Yeah.
You know?
Same do I. Same belief I have.
Yeah, it's not really. It's like I see it the same as people right now are buying bottled water. You know what I mean?
Can you explain?
I have my own bottles, I have my own filter, and I do my own water.
Yeah.
And I bet you $10 million my water is cleaner and better than the bottled water people buy in the stores.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, what are you going to do? Pay for air that you breathe? It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Actually, in Switzerland, you couldn't make that comparison because the tap water we get out of the tap, obviously, is actually the quality is mostly directly better than the bottled water. Actually.
Of course.
Without any treatment, it's like really good quality. I have a question. What was the trigger for you? Like to know so that you knew XRP is the one to go all in.
The one that shouldn't be talked about.
What was that moment?
For me, the main trigger, the spark that set off the light bulb was they are working with banks and regulators.
Yeah.
That was when I heard that, because when I got in it, it was the big ICO boom.
Yeah.
And I mean, ICOs on everything ICO. And I said, wait a minute, you know, it's like too good to be true. And everybody's white paper is perfect and everybody's making promises. But these guys are talking to the banks and they're not afraid. So if banks are listening to them, that should tell you like 98%. So I said, banks are not going anywhere. Banks are here to stay. Payrolls, taxes, money transfers, right? And I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about companies and big corporations. So I said, you know what? They might be onto something. And then I started to look at their employees and their team. It only got better with time.
They only hired the best in class for each and every position.
Now think about this. If you took all of their employees, all of them, with their background and with their experience, you can run a country with those people. I mean, former lawyers, advisors, former federal employees. I mean, you can run a country with just those people.
Mm.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And the fun around it, like nobody wants to admit it. Nobody wants to say, wow, these guys, they really have something special. No, they don't. So they write those stupid articles. And it's like, I'm a big fan of Plato and Socrates.
Yeah.
And I put it on my Twitter once, how, what did he say? He said, wise men speak because they have something to say.
Yeah.
And fools speak because they have to say something. And the way I look at it. So, 2,000 years ago, like 430 something BC, I believe. And how right he was then.
Yeah.
And it's true. They only write just to write.
Yeah. Totally.
There's no and you know what? It works because it spreads the FUD. And people really are afraid. People really get worried. And to me, the sad part is that they can't distinguish. They can't see, they take it seriously. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God, what are they doing? It's unbelievable. Sometimes it's unbelievable.
Yeah. My day was basically made. When I started in XRP, I had roughly the same thing going as you. At first, I didn't want to know anything about Bitcoin, etc. But my workmates were talking all the time about it, and then I decided, okay, let's give it a try. I want to be able to participate in their discussions. So I first did the research on the technology, which I then found quite interesting. And then I looked about the top 20 coins at that time, and I basically read all the white papers and stuff for the top 20 coins, and I really stuck with XRP. And then after a while I came on Twitter and realized that the community is quite active there, and somehow I figured also on YouTube, and then I followed quite strongly the Bearable Guy 123 Decoder. He interpreted himself kind of like a decoder of the Bearable Guy's riddles, and that made me actually that made me do research on my own. And then I pretty quickly figured, you surely have seen that famous gray slide with ILP in the center and all the countries and continents on one side, and all those huge companies like Google, Apple, Uber, Amazon on the other side, and everything connected via ILP and XRP.
Yes.
And then I tried to figure out whom created that presentation, and I eventually found it out. And I didn't know the company. It was Everis, and so I did a research on Everis, and then I figured they're like a daughter company of NTT Data, which is one of the largest IT companies in Japan, and they're a system integrator. And I myself work in IT, and then system integrators, because usually the big software companies, they work with system integrators to put their software into the actual end customer's landscape. So I did the research on that, and I figured that late 2015, early 2016, Ripple was working together with about, 5 to 10 different of these software integrators and payment gateway providers. And once I did a research on those, that was the moment when basically my day was made, when I figured, okay, that'll be huge, that will scale incredibly. Yeah.
Yes, I noticed you're into the nuts and bolts of things. You really want to know how it works, how it's going to be, integrated, and who's connected with who. You're very detailed. I noticed that.
Oh,
I'm not I wish I had more time to devote to it, but with work and two little kids, 5 and 6 running around, I truly can't. By the time I put them to sleep, I'm beat basically.
Yeah.
But I notice you're very deep into the details, which goes to reflect in the videos that you do.
Yeah.
Because I gotta tell you this story how I found your channel, right? I'm playing with my kids one day, and my brother Peter calls me, and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm playing with the kids. They're running me down." He said, "I got one for you." And I said, "What do you got?" He said, "You gotta check this guy out." And you know what? And he did that few times, and I'm like thinking, "Oh my God, it's like another guy, And I said, "Really?" And he says, "No, you really have to check him out." I said, "Okay, send me the link. I'll look at it later tonight." And he told me, he said, "Promise me you're going to look at it." I said, I will look at it, and I'll get back to you." He's like, "You have to call me." I said, "Okay, I will." So I looked at the video, and I was like, "Okay, this guy is thinking," meaning you, right?
Yeah.
Which ties into another story. So I listened to your video, and in your video, what were you talking about? You were talking about Shane Ellis.
Yeah.
And you were talking, and then towards the end of the video, maybe like in the middle, maybe 3/4, you said, "This is what I agree with, and I want to be challenged." You said that this is how you said it exactly. You said, "I want you to challenge me with your theory,
Yeah.
with what you think, and how you see things."
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, you know what? I will challenge you.
Did you? I don't remember.
Yes, no. I did. I tried. I didn't write anything. I tried to make sense of it, okay,
Yeah.
before saying anything.
Yeah.
So that I don't look like a fool. And you know what? I couldn't. And that was the final moment for me.
Yeah.
That I was like sold. I was like, okay, subscribe, hit the bell for the notifications and stuff like that. And then I started to look at other videos of other people and what they do. And this is the other story that it ties into, is that they all call themselves content creators. And I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for this, but I mean, I really don't care because it's true.
They're content copiers, huh?
They're all content creators, but all they do is read articles and other people's tweets. How are you creating? You know what I mean?
Well, actually, in the beginning, I was following Digital Asset Investor quite intensively, but to my shame, I have to say that I basically stopped following any of the other YouTubers. I once in a while, when I see Jungling having an interesting topic, or I'm referred to an interesting video from Digital Asset Investor, I'm going to watch it. But they basically pick up some news, and at least Digital Asset Investors, he tries at least to let me say it like that he tries to show the effect that could have eventually, but it's basically always the same. It'll be huge, and that's why I basically unsubscribed from his channel, because it's always huge, and we all know in the last 18 months there wasn't anything huge going on really.
Yes.
That's
yes.
no.
But I mean, if I mean those YouTubers are basically it's all cookie cutter. It's all the same. Everybody, to tell your friends and family. Oh, check out my sponsored links. Oh, you have to have a Nano S or they're going to steal your XRP. While you're there, sign up for my Patreon. Oh, and the merchandise store. Check out the merchandise store. Please, come on. I mean, they're all doing it for the money. You know, they're all doing it for the sponsorships. And it's reading other people's tweets and articles. So now, it's good for them that they find lazy subscribers. Because if the subscribers weren't lazy, they would follow those Twitter accounts, they would subscribe to those news articles, and they would do the research themselves. You know, it's really, to me, it's not a nice thing. But good for them, you know, they're doing it and it works. So good for them, you know. But I really tried to challenge you. And I called other people. I called Mr. Judd and one of the investors that helped me out. And I said, what do you think about this? And he agreed. And I was looking for flaws. You know, I was looking for weaknesses, and I couldn't find them. So, I mean, to me, it's obvious. It's very obvious, and I don't understand why people are scared. I really it makes me upset. Like, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, and they really people look for confirmation. They look for reassurance. It's as if they want to be wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes.
And you're holding the best asset. You're holding it. You know it is. You know, relax. Don't worry about it. You know, take a breath.
In some of my videos, I remember you giving a comment that everything below $5,000 per XRP is basically useless. Can you give a little bit of your thinking why you think like a low, because that's usually the big debate. I mean, I'm basically, my opinion, I have a very strong opinion that XRP will only be a success if it's literally 4 digits at least, and maybe between 3,000 and 7,000 US dollars, so somewhere in that range. I think $1,000 just won't cut it. But usually there's this debate going on between the guys who believe, like I do, in a high price, and the guys who kind of lack this imagination. Can you maybe share a little bit from your point of view why you also think everything low price will be basically kind of, I call it a failure for XRP?
Okay. See, you're very conservative and you're very shy when you say 4 digits.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't. Maybe you don't want to make waves. Maybe you don't want to upset people and stuff like that. But I'm thinking 4 digits is a joke. Okay. And I'm gonna come out and say it. Okay. Okay. Before you know how people say, this is not financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to say so much, but nobody wants to own it. Nobody wants to take responsibility for it. Okay? I tell you something, I'm not a financial advisor, but I am a consultant. So, you're in luck, okay? Because I'm gonna tell you straight up, and I am going to own it. 4 digits is very shy. Okay. You're looking at 4 digits, bare minimum for the system to run, with couple of banks.
With couple of, can you repeat?
Yes.
Of
couple of banks. Yes.
Banks. Yeah.
Banks or institutions.
Yeah.
You know, and that also depends on how much they're allowed to send, how much funds they're allowed to send.
Yeah.
The more institutions and banks come online and join the system, the higher the price must be. And it's not a question of will it be higher? No, it will be higher. It's not a question. Because the system will not work at a low price. People don't understand that. Who was it? I believe David Schwartz said that don't miss another Ethereum, something like that.
Yes.
You know, when it was all-time high. He also said that XRapid only works when the price is high of XRP.
Yeah.
So he's giving it to you on a silver plate, and people cannot connect the dots. I really don't understand. Now, you don't need David Schwartz to tell you this. All you have to do is imagine the amount of money flowing through it from A to B.
All the money.
All the money, that's right. Now, imagine how many tokens are there in the open. Now, people go to CoinMarketCap or somewhere else, and they see the circulating supply. That's not the real circulating supply. That's the sold supply, right? Mm-hmm. You know, but what people don't realize, or maybe don't know, is that a lot of those tokens will never see the daylight.
How do you mean? Can you explain?
A lot of those tokens are going to be locked away, whether it be institutions with custody.
You mean we're talking now specifically about XRP tokens only?
Yes. Whether it's custody and they're locked away, whether it's long-time investors who will open their wallets, 10, 15 years from now.
Yeah.
Whether it's other escrows, the circulating supply is going to, once the system goes fully live, the circulating supply is going to be very low. Yeah. And that alone will drive the price much higher.
Yeah. How much how high do you estimate the circulating supply? I quickly covered that in my live stream yesterday. I think it's well below 10 billion XRP, excuse me.
Could be. Depending on what they're going to do with the other, what do you call it?
Escrow.
With the escrow tokens. But if you put all of the exchanges together, there's not that much. There's not, that 42, 43 billion is not on the exchanges or preferred exchanges.
No.
I mean, no way.
On those preferred XRapid exchanges, I'm assuming we're talking maximum 3 billion. Maximum.
Very well could be. But I'm telling you, once the price jumps up, the retail investors, the people like us, we won't be able to affect the price in any way. The whales won't count. And those tokens will be bought up so quickly that you won't have time to blink. Mm-hmm. And once they're sold, once you sell them in a week or in a month, you won't be able to afford it to buy back. Mm-hmm. So, yes, I see the price a lot higher than 4 digits.
Well, did you?
And I mean, it'll be. I agree. It'll be 4 digits to start,
No.
and it's going to be a good start.
No.
Okay, but the people who are selling, for example, the price is 3,500, and people have orders listed, let's say for 4,000. They will see how fast it got to 3,500. They will take it out. They will take it off the market, and they're gonna wait for 7,000.
Yeah.
Because they'll know that once it goes up a certain amount, it can only drop very, very little.
Yeah. Do you think the rise up to there will be like in one step, or will it more be like, I don't know, 4 or 5 steps? Let's say, I don't know, just hypothetically, let's say $30, $70, $150, $250, $500, $3,500, something like that.
Well, exchanges and institutions are on standby, waiting to inject more XRP into the exchanges because they're expecting the price to go high quickly. I think that's the reason why they are on standby. To make sure that there is a steady supply. Depending on how quickly the orders will be bought up and how badly more payments will have to go through. I think Shane Ellis is right on this one. It will not be announced, and it's going to be a huge spike.
Yeah.
Probably at night when nobody's expecting anything.
Oh. But your figures you're thinking about regarding XRP price, is it? I mean, did you try to do some math, or is it just a gut feeling, or?
Well, you can do math only to a certain point, because if you think about it, us retailers, we know very, very little as to what is really happening. We know maybe 2%, maybe 3%. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes, behind the curtains. We know very little about the meetings. We know who the meetings are with, and the institutions, and 50 governments. Who says that? Is Vitalik Buterin from Ethereum saying that? I don't think so. So math can only take you so far. But if you listen to All the Money, okay, if you listen to David Schwartz, and you don't have to be a brainiac to figure it out, how assets will be moved.
So basically,
I don't think people can even imagine what it takes to move so much money. And that alone should tell you that this won't be a cheap commodity. No way.
Basically, let's call it, the big part of the XRP community is still just seeing cross-border payments as use case, but there are a few people, including Darren Moore and a few others, who I think have a little bit wider horizon in that whole thing, who see that derivatives and securities most likely will, in the not too distant future from now, be settled with the XRP as well.
Now, you see, you say not too distant future. I agree with that statement, because if you think about it, we have a lot more time than Ripple. Me and you, retailers, right? We can wait, but they can't. They have obligations to fulfill and contracts to close. So the way I look at it, and it's one of the reasons I don't stress, is I know I'm good because they're working hard. I don't think they can afford to lose it. It's too late to turn back. Okay, so they have to put a squeeze on it and make things happen for them, which in effect will provide the benefits for us. You know what I mean? It's
I totally understand.
We shouldn't stress. Ripple should stress, and they do stress. I believe that, because their job is a lot more important in this than ours. We're just benefiting on the side from their hard work. So, to me, it's really no stress, nothing to worry about.
No. It's really interesting how in all those interviews from whatever institution, be it IMF, be it some central banker, CEO or whatever, you never hear the word Ripple or XRP. Yet in most of those interviews you kind of think they're like openly talking only about that, basically.
Yes, that's exactly what they're talking about. Now, I don't know if it's not to inform the public. I don't know. Maybe they're not allowed to endorse a private company. You know what I mean? Because that would show favoritism. That's why they're only talking about the technology, quote unquote. But they're describing Ripple and XRP to a T. Because there's no other company like it. No other company does anything like this. So they basically have no competition. I mean, Stellar, really? Ooh, Stellar signed up 3 banks. Ooh. I mean, even Stellar's gonna run on the RippleNet, you know? And yes, they're gonna have their own, what do you call it? The banks are gonna have their own tokens. Like the JP Morgan coin. And Shell, you know, the petrol company.
I know.
And Exxon. They're gonna have their own, and Hess. Everybody's going to have their own token for their interior use, which is going to help them with accounting and tracking and payments and payrolls and stuff like that. But everything will run on Ripple. You know, and people don't see it.
So that basically leads me to my next question, which you partially have answered already. What do you think about this hype in the crypto community about CBDCs, central bank digital currency? Because I don't see anything to be hyped about that. I mean, I'm using a credit card or a debit card only. The only cash I use is to load my card so I can eat in the restaurant where I work. That's literally the only time I touch cash. And besides, and for that reason, for me, it wouldn't be any difference if the money on that card is a CBDC or if it's fiat, as it's called today. So how do you see that?
You're referring to central bank digital currency? Yes. I don't see it as a threat to XRP. No, absolutely not.
But can you understand why everyone is hyping CBDCs? I don't get it.
Maybe to create the awareness.
But
maybe to create the hype that, hey, look, you know, central banks are going digital. This is going to help us. I really don't see what the commotion is all about.
No, neither do I.
No, it's like I said, you know, 7-Eleven, McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, everyone in the future will have their own tokens for whatever it is that they use. You know, and it's mostly internal and accounting, which I think will lead to a lot of people losing jobs. because of this technology.
Oh.
But there is absolutely nothing to stress. Not in my opinion. No way.
Two like additions from my side. One thing regarding the hype of CBDCs, I mean, basically it'll be stable coins. It'll not be a coin you'll be buying at the high price at an exchange. That's reason number one why I literally don't see why there should be any hype about such a central bank digital currency. And the other thing you mentioned, which I think is quite important to stress as well, there will be people losing their jobs, but eventually it'll be like a move into new industries. The same thing happened when the shipping container was launched. I don't know, about 70 years ago. Like those workers in the harbors, they kind of lost their job because it was so much more efficient to load a ship with those shipping containers than before, like with 200 people running around with the load they had to put on the boat. But eventually those workers would find a job in a new industry. Like there needed to be these huge cranes produced which would lift those shipping containers around, and like other jobs were built. I think it'll be a temporary solution and a temporary effect, this many people losing the job. The same thing happened when the internet basically was born. Many people will think, so many people will lose their jobs because there won't be required any service office anymore because you can now do everything online. That's for a short period of time, let's say 5 to 10 years, that may be correct, but there will be new jobs created in industries we may not even know that they may exist in the future. I mean, who could know that a company like Uber would exist today, like a worldwide taxi company? 5-10 years ago, it would be impossible to imagine something like that, or Amazon. I
was there for the internet boom. I was in late high school, and what it was is I wasn't thinking about web pages and investing and stuff like that. I had other plans, other things, but looking at it now, I see what a huge impact it had on the world. And so I look at cryptocurrencies, and specifically XRP, and I see now what happened then. I see the same thing repeating itself, however, it's on a much higher level.
And it'll affect, and the thing is, I think this change from the current state to the future state will happen way faster because the base technology, the internet itself,
everything
already.
Is there. Everything is ready. All you have to do is write the code and plug it in.
Exactly.
So basically, the way you can look at it is, we already have electricity. Okay, but you, Michael, decide to build a house somewhere. Okay, so you build that house, and all they have to do is run the cables to your house because the electricity is already there. But in order to understand this Ripple thing, you have to understand the shipping containers. You know what I mean?
Yes. Totally.
It's like the shipping containers changed not only shipping, but it changed the ports as well.
Yeah. Totally.
The new machinery, new lifts, new equipment. So it's history repeating itself in a different light. It's like you responded to me and you said something like, that I made some motivational comments or something like that. And I was like, oh wow, really? So I went back and I read it. Okay, and I was like, this was like motivational to people. I didn't know, right? Because that was not my intention. What I was thinking about was, I was a little angry that people don't see it.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally understand. The thing is, I think this whole idea of a bridge asset is so simple that
Yes.
most people are thinking it cannot be so simple. So they're trying to find loopholes and whatever failure scenarios. They don't get it.
Yes,
so
they refuse.
simple.
They refuse to believe it.
Yes, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, for me it was like the minute I read about XRP on Ripple's website, it was like it struck me in my head, and I knew this is it. That's the thing which will make me rich. I mean.
Yes.
Oh.
But people don't get it.
No.
You know, you were talking about in a couple of your videos, and I know I'm all over the place. I'm jumping all over the place. That you were talking about that good feeling, that you have like a good feeling that something's coming.
Yes.
Something good, something big.
Yes.
Okay. I ride on that feeling every day. And it's how sure I am of what's to come. Yes. You know, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I was laughing. When I heard it, I was like, man, is this guy serious? You know? So to me it was like, okay, you don't have to say it anymore. I know what you're talking about. You know, and it's not like I'm asking for it. It just happens naturally. You know, so to me, it's another reassurance. You know, I wish I could explain it to people somehow. How this whole thing works. How they shouldn't really worry about anything. You know, all you have to do is just relax and go about your life, and out of the blue, one day, you will see what's going to happen. But no, people are stubborn. You know, they ask me sometimes about Bitcoin. They say, "Hey, what do you know about crypto?" And I say, "Well, what do you want to know?" And they say, "I heard Bitcoin is going to be worth a lot of money." And I tell them, "Well, you know, crypto is not only Bitcoin." So I tell them my opinion. I say, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin one day would be something that we have today. You know how people collect coins? They're coin collectors?
Yes.
Yes. That it could be just a coin people collect.
Yes.
You know, oh, but I heard it's going to be a lot of money. I said, well, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes, you know, let's say 120,000 and then drops to 50, you know, stops on 40, and there you go. You know, oh, store of value. Yeah, maybe. Maybe,
yes.
I mean, you know, and then it's going to turn into that collector coin. I mean, people today collect coins. I see the future as people collecting bitcoins, you know, at some price. With, you know, you have old coins, right, in your book, and you're telling me, hey, Raf, look at this coin. You know, this is a franc from you know, 1902. And I say, hey, Michael, what does it do for you? and you say, well, nothing. I collect it. Well, that's how I see Bitcoin. That, you know, yeah, it might, but the chances are it also might turn into, you know, just a collector coin.
Well, you know? I mean, I don't know about the possibility, but I think I could imagine literally Bitcoin going to zero. I mean, the whole world knows the electricity consumption is awful, and with all those like green people, the people who want to preserve our countries, if those forces are getting stronger in the countries worldwide, I could imagine that countries will start prohibiting Bitcoin being able to be sold and bought on an exchange, and then you're basically left with the Bitcoin, but you cannot do anything with it because you cannot use it to buy something, you cannot sell it, it'll be basically useless.
Collector's coin, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's like 20 something million or whatever. It's collector's coin, but I mean, you have those wallets that hold over 1 million Bitcoins and stuff like that haven't been touched in years, and there are people who monitor those wallets that for any movements and stuff like that. And it's a little shaky to me that a movement of those wallets can impact the price. Just the movement can impact the price. So it's a lot of uncertainty in that field. And yes, they were the first ones, and yes, it's an intro to the technology, and then people are saying that David Schwartz is Satoshi, right? Did you hear that one?
Yeah.
I say, oh, really? That's good. So he can open all those old wallets and raise the price of XRP with it. He can start buying, XRP with all those coins and raise the price. So hopefully he is, but I don't see that future too bright.
But we both agree that the future of XRP will be bright. That it's basically the only.
I think that's the only bright future that's coming.
Yeah. Okay.
It's simple. It's very simple.
Yeah. Is it okay if we leave that as a final statement and close the interview here for our visitors and viewers, so to speak? And maybe I'm pretty sure we will have comments on the video once I post it. I would like you to check those comments as well and help me answer them.
However, I have one more thing to say.
Yes.
And I think this is the most important thing that I can stress today.
Okay. I'm all ears.
All ears. People pay attention to the news, the Twitters and the videos and stuff like that. And like I said, I really don't. I scroll the headlines in my app. Very rarely that I read an article. Most of the time I just shake my head, I laugh or I smile and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm done with the articles and I'm done with the news feeds and stuff like that. But what I can recommend to people, for anybody who's listening, is to walk away from the news, walk away from the FUD, and start taking care of your health.
Yes.
Because, you see, we know this is going to hit big, without any doubts.
Yes.
To me, there is no doubts. However, what good will that do to you if you're not around to spend it and enjoy it?
Exactly.
And I say that from my personal experience, because last year I had a very big scare, and I was bleeding internally and I didn't even know it because there was no pain. So I was rushed to the hospital where they performed an emergency surgery.
Yeah.
And the doctor came into me next day and said, if you didn't come in now, you had only 6 to 8 hours left.
Yeah.
So And I know, people are gonna laugh or they're gonna shake their heads or whatever, but you really don't know how precious it is until something tragic happens.
Yes, exactly.
So what I can recommend is everybody, get a checkup, start eating healthy, start exercising.
Stop smoking.
Nothing big, nothing heavy. Just to keep your physical state well, keep your mental state well. Take care of your health so that you can live as long as possible to enjoy this.
Exactly.
That's, to me, that's the main thing I pay attention to. And I wish people took this part seriously.
Nice final words. Thank you, Raf.
Yes.
With that, I will close down the interview now. I'm hoping that it will get quite some views, and as you have heard before, Raf and myself will be trying to answer all the comments and questions on the video on YouTube, and stay tuned for additional information similar to this one. Thank you, Raf. Have a nice day.
You got it, Michael. Thank you very much for this opportunity.